What up, world? It's your boy J Star back again, man. We got the top five at every position for the week 4 slate here, man. This was had to do a little things a lot different for this top five, man, because we got more information now, so like I'm kind of more basing this off of the fantasy points that we've been seeing teams giving up to these positions than just basing it off of how great the talent is, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, this is gonna be a week where you're gonna have to take chances, anyways, man. Like, you really are. Yes, some safe bets. You can try to play, but it's gonna be one of those weeks where you just gotta take the chance, man. That this person's in a really great spot and he possibly really hits big for you. But there's still some plays here, of course, where it's like really good. Some of these what I want to say, great weapons are in good spots still. So, but we always start this off with tight end, so we're gonna get right into this. At tight end, who just missed the this spot, I would say missed this top five, is going to be where are we at? I think it's 3,300. It's Juwan Johnson and also Taysom Hill against Tampa Bay. So they just missed it. So I mean, still, you could take shots at them. It looks like Jamie is gonna be back there though. So I wonder how much Taysom Hill gets used and how much more involved does Juwan Johnson get because of that though. And then we gotta go with, because he's in a really good spot, even though he is questionable still. But it's gonna be Logan Thomas at number 5. I think he probably will clear though, so I gotta put him on here because I expect him to play anyways. And Philly has just been giving up this tight end position. So hopefully he gets into this 8 targeted range or something like that on his first game. He even hit though off of just 10. So really cheap tight end in a good spot. So gotta put him in there. And then at number 4, this is one of them plays I feel like, but it's in a good game that I feel like a lot of people are going to be a part of this weekend. But Kincaid and Knox, man, yeah, it's going to be a hit and miss, I feel like, play here, because either they both hit for 10 points and you're good, basically either one, or one just plays completely better than the other is how I feel like. And I don't know how for sure you're going to know to get this right. We do know Kincaid is out there for like just route running, and Knox is out there even in blocking schemes. So, and his team is running a lot of 12, so it's double tight ends a lot, but it just means either one of them could hit. One could just have a great game, or both of them could have a decent game too. But so they make it in there at number 4. At number 3, man, I got Kittle. Kittle would be higher, but like I said before in the first look video, it's all gonna be based on if those receivers, or one of at least those receivers, are not gonna play, because as you see when they're both are playing, the targets go down basically. We're looking at 6 targets for the first week. Next week after that, both of the wide receivers were able to go until what's his name got hurt in this game. I think it was Ayuk. But they both were at least out there, and he only had 3 targets. Soon as Ayuk couldn't go for the Giants game, you see his targets went up a lot. So that's the only reason why I don't have him as the number 1 tight end, because he would be if we knew one of those receivers was not playing. But I got him at number 3. He's in a good spot, but like I said, it could be hit and miss too with him because of the fact his targets could be still low, and that could hurt a lot. Besides that, we got at number 2, we got a good savings tight end here. It's a Kongwu's week, man. Like, he finally should hit for everybody. I know he's been playing really bad, coming from, what is that, 2 targets the first game, 4, the last 2 games. But this week he's in just a great position. I mean, the Bengals have been giving up that tight end spot, and giving up decent points. So this should be the week where for 3,100 he should get you over 10 points. So definitely had to put him in there at number 2. At number 1 though this week, I mentioned him in my last video that I made, but Everett, and it looks like now he's questionable. Let's see what's going on. Oh, he's ill. Hopefully that clears up before Wednesday, because he is in the best spot by far. He should get probably all the targets I feel like we would have thought, I would say was Mike Williams was going to get. He's probably going to get, and he's definitely supposed to hit against the Raiders. They do really bad against tight ends. One of the worst teams, at least on this slate. Besides, I would say the Eagles still, because I know they're really up there still. So yeah, the Eagles are too. That's why we got Logan Thomas though still in there, but he is coming back from injury. But hopefully, this illness, we're early in this week still, so it should clear up and he should be good to go. He's just in a great spot, so that's why he's at number 1, and he's on a really good team that's pass heavy too. We're going to get into running backs here. So running backs this week, we got who we got. Looks like just missing the cut, which I probably want to switch this off a little bit. I'll just keep it for now because the order is in. Like I said, it's literally by the amount of fantasy points. Running back is going to be a crazy week for this. Just missed the cut is Najee Harris. And also with him, though, I mean, he's getting the boatload of the carries and everything like that. It's not really doing much with it. I feel like Jaylen Warren is the better back here. If he was to get this many carries, I feel like Jaylen Warren would be hitting. And he would come in at a great savings, too, because I believe he's only $5,000. But Najee Harris, like I said, just missed the cut, but is in a great spot going against Houston. As long as they're probably up and winning that game, then, yeah, it's probably, Najee Harris, could be a really good play there. I got also at the bottom of this is Eckler. It sucks that, we don't know for sure. At least he was limited at practice, and it is early. Has 2 more practices to go. But, Eckler is in a great spot. Home back and everything playing the Raiders, man. They give this up. Every year it feels like the run, and Eckler usually does hit on at least for sure one of the games against them, if not both times. So definitely got to say Eckler is in there if he's healthy and able to go. So he makes it in there top 5 at number 5. At number 4, I got Dameon Pierce. If somehow Houston is able to compete and not be down, as most of the times they are down in games, as you see the first 2, his production hasn't really been great, but he did just finally get his first touchdown. Could be a warm-up leading into this Pittsburgh game, who's been giving up mad points to running backs. So I got to put him in there. Like I said, this week is one of the weeks where you're just going to have to take chances. This could be the week, though, for Dameon Pierce to finally go off and get into those 20s. After that, for number 3, we got Madison going against Carolina. Was used heavily in the last game. I know it was a home game, but just the targets, the attempts, everything was crazy. Even though they was down in the game, took a lead kind of late, and then the Chargers ended up taking it back. But yeah, so just it was his best game. Now with the pressure of Akers, you would think he won't be trying to fumble or something like that, or make too many mistakes, because they're just gonna lean to Akers if he does. But he's really in a really good spot. Just saw Kenneth Walker be able to run, crazy on Carolina. Madison could do the same, and then just on a very explosive team too as well. Could get to the goal line a few times there. Then we got another iffy play here, man. But Roschon Johnson is in a good spot, man. I mean, we just saw 2 backs, man. I mean, this dude should be number 1 if they was giving him, 17 or 12 attempts at least or something like that. But I don't see why they're not going to run after seeing what Miami did. Like, every back should be in play here, from quarterback, running back, whatever you got. You put them out there and just run, because they giving it up. We talking about near 400 yards rushing and stuff. So I don't see how Roschon, doesn't make this list. He should be able to at least get you, some decent points here. And like I told you, this week is just going to be a harder week with that, because we know he also has been not doing much since the first game, basically. But if he can get that 17 points and come in strong like that, maybe bust 100 yards, 4,900, then he's definitely hitting. But at number 1 is the top back on the list, man, McCaffrey. I just, this is one of them safe plays, like I was trying to explain, before the video started. But it's just one of them safe plays in a good spot. We know 49ers going to establish the run. He's getting into the goal line every time, every game. But this could be the game where he gets there twice and he ends up becoming needed. 100 something yards and 2 touchdowns from him. Yeah, I just don't see how you not end up needing McCaffrey. He possibly ends up having a 40-point game or something like that. But so that's why he makes it number 1 at quarterback this week, man. Whew, so what we got at quarterback, man? It looks like just missing the cut is going to be, man, it's like a mix. Okay, so I think I'm gonna say it's Purdy, man. It looks like Purdy is gonna just miss the cut. Like I said, some of his receiver weapons aren't there. He possibly still is able to do good with just Kittle and McCaffrey. He throws the ball to McCaffrey too as well. But yeah, he's definitely in a decent spot, but he just missed the cut, man. So who also is on this list is going to be funny though. We got Russell Wilson, man. Just Chicago is just that whack team, man. Russell, throwing a lot right here against Miami. I mean, he was down big. I don't see why not. He hasn't really done that bad though. Like 30 points, 18 points. possibly see another 30-point game. Chicago has been very bad at number one receivers. Russell Wilson wants to throw the ball to Sutton. He wants Sutton to be the guy, for him every week. I just don't get it though, because I'm like, it could be both of them. Judy and Sutton should be able to hit every week. They should have good schemed up plans to get them both the ball. Judy should be more in the slot and not out wide that I've been seeing. I feel like that's what's killing it for him a little bit. He does come into the slot though, but Russell is just in a great spot. Like I mean, completion percent, everything just goes well. It's supposed to go well for him, but he just doesn't be playing. He doesn't play that good, every week. But he has to make it because, like I said, the points that Chicago has been giving up weekly has been way too high for him not to make this list. And he's still a good quarterback. So next up, though, we got, got to go to the other side of that game, really, because Fields is definitely in a good spot. And he's almost just in a good spot, just solo, Fields. Like, just drafting him up, putting him in the lineup naked because – the rushing ability that the Denver Broncos is giving up, all that just goes well for Fields. He's rushing nearly 10 times, a game or so, and he hasn't yet broke one for 100 yards. He's been fumbling the ball two games in a row right there. But if he just keeps the ball protected, runs 11-something times, man, he probably breaking 100 yards against Denver. Possibly throws a touchdown, because he doesn't really throw too much. He was throwing a lot, at least the first two games. But I can see him getting back to just his old self and hitting some big fantasy points because he started off this season, what was his point? Yeah, 7,000. This is the cheapest you got to get him probably. Like, if he hits this weekend, he's going right back up to the 7,000s. So, and I can definitely see that happening for him. He can probably rush in 2 touchdowns in this game and throw for 1 at least. Like Denver isn't looking too good defensively. So he has to make the list because of that. Like I said, that whole game is like, it's but it's like at the same time it could go off for them too. Besides that, we got another savings though here. Joe Burrow. Number 3 on this list, man. I mean, he just look at the price, like drop 71, 69, 66. But the throwing attempts, man, is there, man. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm really looking for. For my fantasy quarterbacks, I'm looking for those 40-plus attempts. I told y'all that earlier in the season. That's what hits, man. Eventually it's going to hit. Eventually you throw this many times, you're going to throw 3 touchdowns, possibly even 4. Possibly 300 to 400 yards. It all sets up for that. You look at Cousins, he's throwing this. Stroud's throwing this. This amount. So, and those 2 are hitting. So, it's harder to hit when you're throwing 30s and 20 something. But unless you're a rushing quarterback, but yeah, when you're just a pass in the pocket quarterback, you want to see this thing from them. This is what hits for you. And he's got finally a good week, not so hard of you got to think his weekly schedule, the first 3 weeks was pretty hard, man. Like the Rams is a little bit better than what I thought, but at least they haven't been really giving up touchdowns like crazy. They've been doing pretty well. So defensively, but Baltimore and Cleveland, those are tough defenses. And he had a hard time. Now he finally gets his easiest matchup. I expect him to go off. Long as he just stay healthy in the game. So then we moving on to number 2. I got Matthew Stafford, y'all. He's just in a good spot, man. The Colts is giving up mad points to quarterbacks. And this team wants to throw a lot. Like, let's look at this. 38, near 40, 55 attempts. You know what I'm saying? And somehow they just been down 2 in these games and competitive games where they're needed to, throw a lot. And I like it, man. I expect him to be able to hit 5,700. Feels too cheap going into this game for me with Matthew Stafford and the way he's throwing. I feel like, the only thing that's been hurting him is the touchdowns. He hasn't been able to throw touchdowns. San Francisco is not that easy of a team to throw touchdowns. Seattle is more, you kind of want to run them in, a little bit, and then kind of you can throw a little bit on them, but the rush is where you're probably getting those touchdowns at. Cincinnati's got a good defense, and they only allowed him to throw 1 touchdown. Colts should probably give him at least 2. So giving him 2, I see him possibly getting into that 20-something points. And easily, I think he's getting over 300 yards. So you're getting that 300-yard bonus that we got the first 2 games with 2 touchdowns finally. And more than likely, I feel like he might not even throw an interception in this game because the backfield isn't as strong as the other teams that he has thrown interceptions against. So, yeah, he should have a really good game because of that. Take away, you were talking about 2 points each game right here has been taken away. So we missed a 20 right here because he threw 2 interceptions. So after that, though, at number 1, man, this is going to trip out some people, but, I could easily say, one of these quarterbacks up here at the top, yeah, they definitely are deserving of a number 1 spot. I would say it probably would lean more towards Hurts. In his game, I think would probably be the number one. But right now, man, it would have to go to Herbert. I guess it would probably go to Herbert. I would say number one goes to Herbert. The Raiders is just not that good. Backfield is pretty weak. Herbert is balling. I do hate that one of his receiving weapons is gone, but as long as he's gonna have Everett, Keenan Allen, if he gets back Eckler, then yeah, he should be loaded enough, because he still has Joshua Palmer, Quentin Johnston, all of them, and like I said, throwing the 40s. That's what I'm looking for, man. Throwing them consistent 40s, then we're looking at, look at these high points we're talking about. Some consistent 40s, like I said, getting over 300. Look at this, 400, 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. That's how you get there, man. We need those 40s. So hits that number one spot, Herbert. And now we move on to wide receivers. So let's see what we got here. Where are you at? Let me see. Is he cheaper than this? Okay. So just missed the cut. Looks like it's DJ Moore. His quarterback just doesn't throw enough, but he is in a good spot. So that's really about it for there. At number 5 though on this list is he went up to right here, Nakua. Yeah, we already know about the oblique injury and everything. His targets is still crazy high, man. Like I said, this last game played a good defense finally that doesn't play just zone, plays a little bit man press coverage, pushing up on him, pushing him off his routes. And he looked pretty bad, But now he goes right back into a team that's inexperienced defensively, backfield and everything like that. Maybe not the line, but the backfield is inexperienced and they play a lot of zone. So all that does is goes back to these type of defense is what he's going up against basically. And I see him getting down the field, possibly finally getting a touchdown. And if he gets a touchdown, then he's probably going off because he's been going off in these games against these type of defenses without touchdowns. So definitely got to put him on there at number 5. He makes the list for sure. Person that people are probably not going to be too happy about that makes this list because they probably put him in a lot of their lineups last week. Where is he at? Nico Collins, man. But we have seen Pittsburgh has been giving up wide receiver ones, man, like every week. They play a lot of little man coverage and stuff like that. And those deep big play receivers on the teams have been getting off against them. So we got to put Nico Collins in that because he is the deep big play receiver, lines out wide. Tank Dell lines in the slot and out wide though too because Woods kind of, I think, been playing in the slot. But Nico Collins is back in a good spot, and I can see a lot of people not wanting him because, like I say, just came off of 3 targets, 2 receptions, which I was telling everybody, to pick Dell. I really felt like it was going to be Dell's week and not really as much of Nico Collins. I didn't really take him that much because I kind of already felt it that he probably wasn't going to hit. I did like Stroud, but not too much with Nico Collins. Jacksonville's been pretty good at stopping, I would say, at least one big play receiver or something like that, or their best, one of the best receivers at least on teams. But I knew they couldn't stop everybody else, and that's why I felt like, Nico might not do as great, but of course, somebody like Tank Dell would. So then we got, who's next on this list? Okay, so then at 4,500 right here, we got Adam Thielen. I did like him a lot more. Of course, if Dalton played, it looks like it's going to be Bryce Young. But even with Bryce Young, he was able to put 20 points up. So the chemistry built, at least one game before he was hurt and ruled out. But I do think him seeing Dalton, a veteran, get out there and show him how to make sure you give your receivers, opportunities, mad opportunities. And I think that's going to help him. I think he is going to, air it out a little bit more to his receivers and give them opportunities somewhere near this, double digits at least, because, it hit for Chark because he had the double digit targets. And I think Bryce Young needed to see that, So I feel like, he has a good matchup. First, you got to think also Bryce Young played against some tough defenses, man. Atlanta and New Orleans. Both were tough. My quarterback, Love, had a pretty hard game. He played good against Atlanta, but New Orleans gave him a hard time. So, of course, you would think somebody, a rookie, not even as experienced as Love, would have a harder time against these two defenses. And they're divisional games, too. So, they played them. They schemed up against them, the hardest, those divisional teams. So we didn't get to see him play Seattle, who was an easier team for Dalton to go in and be able to put up good numbers against. But now at least, he gets Bryce Young gets a chance to play an easier defense, which should help him. And of course, Thielen's gonna want to stick it to him, and he's at home too, so it helps him too, to get that revenge on them. Next up though, at number 2, we got paying up here. We got Chase, man. Great spot for him, coming off a really great game. Finally got the targets. Went into the front office, told him that he needs to get targeted way more. He said he needed some more, throws, and that's exactly what they did. They made sure they schemed him up. Finally moved him into the slot a lot more. Like I try to tell y'all, these defenses now, man, you got to be able to move your best weapon into the slot, or do some heavy stacks and things like that, heavy personnels and things like that, to get them into better positions, and not lined up against the best cornerbacks as always. Like you're going against Denzel Ward, you're going against Baltimore's best cornerback because you're just playing 11 and got him out wide, not moving him into the slot. They moved him into the slot a lot against the Rams. That's why it was only like Boyd and him really hitting, because Boyd is in the slot full time, and Chase was able to move into there and get great numbers as you see here. I'm expecting him to be able to hit against Tennessee, man. But also it could also, go to Higgins, because Higgins has had opportunities. He's been dropping a lot, man. A lot. So it's also could be, Higgins could hit on this game too. Higgins had like 8 targets. I heard he went out the game though, and I don't know why he came out that game though. I think it was like third quarter too. So I know that benefited a lot for Chase too as well, because his targets is at 15, and I'm sure they would have thrown some extra targets off to Higgins' way. But I do feel like he can definitely hit. I mean, we've been seeing receivers just go off against Tennessee. So it's really the one that's going to get the most volume. I feel like it's also going to move into that slot area too, because Tennessee is affected there the most. Like, it's where you get your points at. So then we got at number 1 here, it's going to be Davante Adams, man. Just need to make sure Garoppolo is able to go. I feel like the most, that's the biggest thing right now, because if Garoppolo is able to go, we've seen the chemistry finally work out for them. Back-to-back games, if you got to think, Davante came out this game with a concussion. He was on his way to a 45-point game, basically. And now, he goes, plays Pittsburgh, kills them, gets, lights them up, for 172 yards. Crazy. I know the targets was ridiculous. I'm not expecting him to get 20 targets, but who really knows, because the Chargers, if somehow Eckler isn't able to play, they're going to be airing it out. They do a lot of, what I want to say, no huddle offense. So it just makes you, if they go 3 and out, that means the Raiders getting back on the field, so it's just faster paced game for them. So Davante could be in for, a huge game, another 20 target game. So I really love Davante this week. Like I said, I just need to know Garoppolo's able to go, and I'm plugging in Davante like crazy, because he's the number 1 definitely spot this week, man. Fantasy points Chargers been giving up to receivers. It's crazy. So that's why he makes it at number 1 there. And that is it, man. So we got through the top 5, man. I hope that really helps y'all out. Good luck, y'all, man. It's your boy J Star, and I'm out. Peace, y'all.